Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the Reality of Real Estate podcast. I am one of your hosts, Christopher Lynch, and welcome my co-host.
Hey everybody, my name is Brianna Lehmann.
We give you a real take on making homeownership attainable.
We will be breaking down real-life scenarios, trends in the current market, and giving you our personal tools to make homeownership not just your dream, but your reality.
Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and ready to take action towards building your own empire.
Because when you invest in real estate, you aren't just purchasing a home, you're investing in your future. Hey everyone.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Yes, happy belated all the holidays.
All the holidays. We're headed into Valentine's.
Yep, St. Patty's, Cinco de Mayo, and even though this is take 2, and I'm just going to throw that out there, what holiday is at the end of May?
Memorial Day. Memorial Day. We really just fast forward. But that's how we live in this business, though. Like, I'm always a month or 2 months ahead of other people where I'm like, oh, I'm looking in March. And they're like,
what?
It's January.
Yeah. No.
So what have you been doing?
Just
besides
life.
Work.
And we had for the first time ever, my kids had a joint combined birthday party.
Are their birthdays both in January?
Yes, they are 4 years and 4 days apart.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So much fun. Yeah. But I think I would need to go on sister chats to say what I would want to say about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, other than that, just work and life and dealing with the normal day to day. How about you?
Yeah. I am back full time at work now since I took some time off to be with my family and kind of regroup and recharge from the end of last year.
That's very
Addie
fair.
and I leave for Disney next week. So I'm very excited about that. It was our Christmas gift and kind of our like mommy-daughter healing trip, I guess I want to say. So I'm excited for that.
That's exciting.
And the weather, no matter what, is going to be better than it is here. So actually today it's nice.
I was going to say, like, you better say hello spring to Ohio weather today.
But by the end of the day, it's supposed to be like 30. So
just go to Disney. Goodbye.
I know.
No, that's good though. Yeah, we go to a marriage retreat next week. Like, it's like, our whole like division actually goes. And so,
that's cool.
Yeah. Last year was our first time going, and it was really good. And it was about parenting and just like different parenting styles. And so yeah, we're excited to go. I don't know exactly what this one is, but it's
Where is it? Is it somewhere warm?
Heck no.
Oh, it's here somewhere?
Yeah, it's in Millersburg. So yeah.
Amish country.
Yeah.
Down there.
Haley's like, can you get off work a little early so I can go to some shops? I'm like, sure. I mean, what are you going to get? Some chocolates?
Yeah, some fudge, some chocolates,
No.
good coffee.
I guess. We had a good breakfast last year at this one little place I randomly found. Mm-hmm. And I guess I will give them credit. The coffee was good because the coffee at the place was meh.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bougie when it comes to coffee. So
Me too. Yeah, so
fair.
There. All right, so today we're picking up part 2 of where we left off, which was the home buying journey, right? What did you call it that you didn't like journey?
Now I don't even know what it is. It can be a journey. Who cares?
Home buying path?
No, process. No, you said it's a home buying process. I said it's a journey. Or you said like a roadmap or something.
Oh, the roadmap to buying your first home or 5th home, 10th home. Home.
Yeah.
Buying a home.
I guess. Yeah. Because we got into it about you need like how are you supposed to know where you're going if you're, on a journey and you need a roadmap.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Okay. So
you better call Siri.
Yes. With that being said, today we're going to talk about the inspection process, right, versus appraisal process, how they're both important if they're both important. Then you wanted to talk about like underwriting
and how from the lending side and what that looks like with title, and then closing.
Yeah.
Just kind of give a breakdown on those. So home inspections. What's your thoughts and feelings about them?
So
what are they?
What are they? They're very important is what they are. One of the biggest questions I get, especially for first-time home buyers, is can they have the inspection? Like, when does the inspection happen? Because that's always like well, can we have it inspected before we write an offer? Which I understand that thought process, but no. So the inspection happens after we write our offer. It's accepted. We're excited. Within the first 7 days, typically I like to have them done. Sometimes we'll write 10 days if there's a holiday in between there or something, but that's when the inspections happen. They are important. This is a huge purchase in your life. You want to know what you're buying, because I hate getting that call after where it's like, hey, we didn't have an inspection and this, and this is happening. Well, now I can't really, yeah, I can't really help you, So during COVID, such a dreaded time in our lives that I can't believe we're 4 years out.
It's on the rise again.
Chris,
but the world is not
that type of. Don't bring us down.
The world is not shutting down. We have things to do, things to accomplish. We have lives to live. So we're good.
So during that time, rates were very low. Multiple offers were very high. Sellers were getting anything they wanted, basically. So a lot of buyers waived their rights for home inspection because, unfortunately, that would make or break whether they won the house or not.
Yep.
I'm not seeing that as much now. There are some, but I mean, I'm in multiple offers still, definitely, but giving up a home inspection is not a way to win for me. I never, personally, I know every agent is different, but I'm going to say every time at least opt for your home inspection. And at another episode, we can talk about ways to word it, strategies around that. But for right now, your home inspection happens within 7 to 10 days of being under contract. The inspector themselves is very important. That is
that is huge.
Very, very big. There are some inspectors who
should retire.
Yes. Or just
pick a different field.
And they scare buyers. So having a good inspector in your corner, just like everything in this process, making sure that you are represented and have skilled, knowledged people working for you is very important. The inspector, during the inspection, depending on who does it, size of the house, they're going to be about 2 to 3 hours, just depending. Maybe less, maybe more. But essentially, they go from the top of the house, from the roof, the attic, all the way down to the basement. They're checking the furnace, the AC, the hot water tank. They're checking the mechanicals, what makes up the house, making sure that the house is functioning, which the appraisal does not do, because that's a lot of times we get those questions like, well, what's the difference? So, and then during the inspection is when you as a buyer, you have the right to go back and say, okay, hey, these things need to be fixed for us to move forward. The house is wonderful. We're going to move forward without any repairs, which happens sometimes.
Yep.
Or you have the right then to say, hey, based on this inspection report that we have, we're going to release and move on and find something else. So cost of inspection is always a big question I get, and that's going to vary depending on
your inspector,
what inspections you're having done, from general to radon to pest. Those are all options. And then the size of the home as well. It is not a refundable cost, unfortunately, but I always tell my buyers, you spent $350 but saved $250,000.
Right.
Knowing. So, that's the nutshell of the inspection. We can get a lot deeper with it, as we're going through them, but that's just the general, here we are. And then the sellers will either agree to fix some things, maybe give you money towards things, a home warranty towards some things. And
when it comes to money, what she means by that is they will say, in the contract, it'll basically be labeled as a seller concession. Yes. They're not just going to hand you the cash to take care of it.
You can't do that, actually.
It's very illegal.
Very illegal. But what I have had sellers say in the past is hey, we're not going to have the time to make these repairs because we're trying to move as well, but we will give you, $1,000 extra towards your closing costs at closing to make this, or we'll pay for it and you have the work done. There's
there's
variations
ways
of
to
that.
make it work. Yeah.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
And then
Inspection.
for an appraisal,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, it is a big question, especially for sellers are just like, hey, like, should I have my home appraised before I even put it on the market? Or like, who pays for the appraisal and all
Mm-hmm.
that? So, one, I will just say that I'm not a huge fan of sellers paying for appraisals before they list their home. It's just really, in my opinion, it's a waste of money,
Mm-hmm.
because the value could be different, but that appraiser also isn't looking to check boxes that they technically would when financing is involved,
Right.
and especially depending on the loan type. So they could tell you that, hey, your house is worth 375 and it's a great home, all this, that, and the other,
Mm-hmm.
but now you've just paid $500 to $800 for this,
Right.
And you
those are
didn't need it.
typically for like, hey, we want a home equity line, come out, appraise our home, right? Like, is the process different when it comes to before your house is listed versus you're under contract and here's
No, like some people want to, like, that's not the big difference, but some sellers, if they don't know what their house might be worth, or if they're like, hey, I don't know if I want to use an agent, and like they want to just hop online, and like it's not always right, and it's not always going to apply.
Mm-hmm.
The downside to that is that once, if you do that and you get this number in your mind that you're set on, and then here comes, buyers who make offers on your house, and I order an appraisal, and that appraisal comes back and it's not that same value. Sure, we can use that like we can use the one you have and just say, hey, like, okay, like what are the comps and things like that. But my appraisal that I've ordered when there's financing involved is going to stick compared to whatever you paid for.
Right.
So it's just a waste of money, in my opinion.
And
like,
even to challenge an appraisal,
it's hard.
How often do they, like, we'll get some money back, but it's never.
We had one like, I don't even know how many months ago, and he increased it a little bit.
You and I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I just know it was a bungalow and it was in North Canton.
Mm-hmm. And they gave us like $2,000 back, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very rare.
Yeah.
To challenge it. Yeah.
But if not, they're just like, nope. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm doing. Here goes your comps.
Right.
And try again and go play elsewhere.
So I always get the question from buyers, like, do I have to have an inspection? The bank is going to have an inspection, right? They're different. So
they are.
Yeah.
But like appraisals are all the same. It is an appraisal. And so like what happens with an appraisal is that a licensed appraiser is going to go out to the property and they are going to appraise the home. What they are looking for is they're making sure that there are no hazardous conditions affecting the home. So like, the roof can't be falling apart, and you can't have, stairs up to the front porch that are deteriorating. And if you step on it, like a lawsuit is waiting to happen.
Handrails.
Yeah. Like
updated electrical. GFCI.
Yes. But like they want to look for making sure, like, to say, hey, to whatever the bank is, financial institution, that the collateral, which is the property, this is the value. It's a great, piece of collateral, and here you go to support your loan.
Right.
But an appraiser's job is to kind of help basically make sure that this all ties together.
Right.
They're not there to go out and just kind of throw a number on a piece of paper or flag all these things that aren't necessary. And don't get me wrong, sometimes, things get flagged and you're just like, really, you flagged that? And so like you can address it, and we do. And if it makes sense to have that condition removed, perfect. But if not, we have to trust the licensed professional and their experience and knowledge to say that, hey, like what you have provided and supporting with comps and everything else that you have done in your years of experience, to tell the bank who needs to be able to lend on this property that we have the ability to move forward.
Right. And if there is, like for FHA is typically where we see most appraisal required repairs, which are
FHA, VA, and USDA.
Yes. I would guess that I've done more FHA in the last VA too. I don't do as many USDA, but
because you ain't getting out there in those rural areas.
That's where I'm from.
I know.
Where my parents live.
So you should be.
But chipping paint,
yes,
handrails, some GFCIs. Those are things that we're probably not going to get to challenge and say, hey, we're not doing these things. They're going to say these need to be done. So that, again, goes between the buyer and the seller, how we're going to negotiate it and fix it. But if they're not done, then lending on this particular property in this particular loan type will not happen, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And yes. And then the conversation becomes, can you switch the loan product? I'll be honest and just put it out there. I can only speak for myself and my team, but we're always going with the loan product that best suits the client.
Right.
And so sometimes, sure, and it's like, hey, well, they have an 802 credit score. Mm-hmm. That's great, but their debt to income ratio is a 56.
Right.
We've already gone through the channels to make sure that we are pairing the best loan product to best
with
fit their needs.
Borrower, right.
And sometimes we can make changes and sometimes we can't, but we're doing what is necessary. And one thing that I just sometimes do love is that I had a few deals at the end of last year to where the homes have appraised for more. Mm-hmm. And so, but if it is in a rural area and if we had it set up as FHA, maybe it does make sense for them to be able to go USDA, because if they're under contract at 140, the house appraised at 150, then it's revisiting the conversation of hey, let's go ahead and play around with these numbers, see what makes the most sense. Because now what you were bringing to the table, should you pay off some debt that,
right.
Especially if you've been renting and your monthly housing payment is already going up, how do we make best use of your money to put you in a more realistic financial picture? Mm-hmm. And it's about teaching people about financial wellness. And so you have the ability to change things around, not all the time. Or sometimes if an appraisal comes back and if it is higher, then we can have the conversation about increasing that purchase price and then asking for those concessions, even sometimes if there are conditions or repair requests on that report. But it just kind of comes down to who you're working with and
who. That ties into representation, having agents so when I go through a property and I know my buyer is an FHA approved buyer, mm-hmm. I'm looking for FHA requirements, things that I know during our appraisal, we're going to have to address these things. And a lot of agents will put in the MLS, conventional or cash only, because they know a FHA, USDA, or VA loan won't pass, but some don't do that.
And even sometimes when they do, we've had deals to where I've had to call a listing agent and say, mm-hmm. hey, unless there's something that you didn't share in these photos, is there something that is not there?
It could be seller preference too, because they don't want to risk it. But so I always check as I go through, making sure I'm running comps for buyers as we're writing offers. Even if we're in multiple offers, it doesn't always make sense to be the highest offer on the table. There's other ways to structure our offer, and inspections and appraisal is one of those, you know? So I've had FHA buyers say, we're willing to do any FHA required repairs because it's going to be a GFCI outlet or a handrail. We'll do it. And those have won my offers, so.
I ain't putting up no handrail. I don't even know how.
I've had a client redo an entire deck because they had the means to do it. They knew that they could. And he was like, I'll do the deck if that gets me the house.
Nice.
Because I'm going to live there anyway. I'm going to redo it anyway.
Can we call Bob the builder?
Yeah, I don't recommend that on every deal. But that was just one. And again, I'm sure that we can talk about that in a later episode of how we can use appraisal and inspection to make our offer look better. I feel like, to wrap it up, the inspection is for you as a buyer. It is not required, but highly recommended for you to do. The appraisal is required if you are a finance buyer, not if you're a cash buyer. I have had cash buyers
ask for them. Yeah.
And as that's their right to do so. And it depends on your loan type.
On what's going to be asked about it. Or what would be required with
right.
it.
Conventional is much more lenient than FHA, but I have had conventional appraisers, I can't speak, ask for things.
I remember the one about the grass being too high. I was
cut grass. That's on my appraisal. Cut the grass. That's crazy.
It was not a deal with me.
That does not happen. Everybody watching, listening, that I still can't even think.
It was so funny. But anyhow.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So moving on to underwriting.
Yeah, underwriting
is all you, my friend. I don't deal on this side.
Underwriting is a fun, stressful process.
Fun.
It is because, like, they don't know. What I always like is, for an underwriter's perspective, is that they don't know you. They don't know. They only know essentially what the loan officer, and depending on how that loan officer's team is set up, but what that loan officer and the processing team have put together to essentially hand over to them. And so there are some times where, like, they can't ask for letters of explanation just because, again, they don't know you. And what you don't want an underwriter to do is to formulate their own story about you. And because someone's credit report tells a story, but do they know, just based upon the credit report doesn't say that, you know, you had death in the family, that you lost your job, that, you know, like, or you went from working full time and had to work part time because something happened, and now, like, this is your new normal, and like why that happened. So, like, you have to work hand in hand with your loan officer, and that loan officer needs to work hand in hand with the processor. So then that way, when a file goes to underwriting, that underwriter is prepared, and they also know, like, this is what I'm doing, and this is all here on the table for me, but they've kind of dotted I's, crossed T's, and have everything. But your underwriter is the one who basically makes the final decision on whether or not, if you are going to get your final stamp of approval.
That's where we get our clear to close.
Yeah. And sometimes
best 3 words there are.
I mean, there's better words, but in those are the best 3. I mean, initially it's offer accepted.
CTC. When I get that email, you are CTC. Woo! That is so good.
Calm down.
Clear to close. That's the best. We've worked this whole time. That's exciting.
That is true. I'm not trying to discredit it. But then there's also, before you get that CTC, you get a conditional approval. And a conditional approval is funny because we actually...
to keep you on your toes, because you're like, we're almost there.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
But that is where, like, if they don't like something, that's where that letter of explanation kind of comes into play. Or if, like, your income is different than something that we've already provided. Maybe you got a bonus last year and you don't have one so far this year. And when did you get that bonus? Or if your year-to-date earnings for last year were higher than what you're on pace for this year, is it because you work a lot more in the summer? Whatever it might look like. Just like we have to kind of fill those conditions and just give updated information, which is helpful. But the underwriter is our best friend, and we need our underwriters to just say, like, yeah, like, I like this file. And even if they don't like it, give them anything possible to say, like, hey, yes, I know why I should trust your opinion and believe their story, to say that we can move forward. Because
you and I have had clients where we're getting down to underwriting that conditional approval, and we're like, is this going to happen? You know?
Yeah, because
we can't control everything that a buyer does, especially in their credit profile. Like, they're using credit cards, they're missing a payment, whatever that may be. Yeah. And then we get to the underwriter. You're behind the scenes pulling strings, and we're doing all the things
adding
to make it
gray
happen.
Hairs to my head, and so having
those relationships. So Cross Country has your underwriters in office.
Yeah, so we have my division. We have, like, 2 of our underwriters are, like, in our office. Doesn't always necessarily mean that their, like, current workload allows for them to be our underwriter on, like, that specific file, but they do, like, those are our preferred underwriters, and essentially, like, they would get our files before they'd go to, like, corporate office.
Okay.
And then but our operations team is 100% in-house. Like that's like processing. And so like they're going to do all the things that we need to make sure that we do get either a really clean conditional approval or we get an easy peasy CTC right out the gate.
Okay.
But it is frustrating when you do go into underwriting and like something happens. It's like, someone took out a new car loan or like you feel like you got sucker punched.
Yeah.
Or like Mike Tyson just came up and bit your whole ear off. Like what just happened? Like that is how you feel in that moment. But then you have to keep it together. And if
pivot
pivot like no other.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you'll say it never fails. You'll always say, okay, well, like, are you nervous? Should I be nervous?
Yeah, I'm like, if you're not nervous, then I'm not worried about this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to think about it. If you're nervous, now I need to go full speed, figure out what we're going to do.
Yes.
I need to have a come to Jesus moment with my clients.
Yep.
The listing, like, how far do I got to take this to save this? So.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a part of the process. You can't avoid it. And files just don't close without an underwriter approval.
Right.
And it is what it is. The other thing we can talk about is like title.
Yeah.
Title and lending work hand in hand from the moment that you have that offer accepted and whatever the title company is and the purchase agreement that all parties have signed. We, on your side of it, that's who you're most times given like earnest, like, figuring out earnest money with. You're going to share contracts, addendums, all that fun stuff with them. But we are also then going to make a title order. And they're going to essentially comb through everything to make sure everything is like paid and tell us how to essentially keep this together. But they'll also tell us if anything is wrong. So like when I bought my house, the guy had mechanical liens because he never apparently cared about anyone other than himself. And they did terrible jobs on things, but that's
why they didn't get paid.
No, he was just raggedy. And that's the nicest thing I can say.
Yes. Okay, so they're going to check for clean title is what you're saying.
But if you don't have that, like we would have never known.
Right.
And so like you need the title company to kind of keep everything in line to make sure that you can go forward.
And a good title company, a reputable title company, a title company that is like they just know your area. Like I've worked with title companies that were out of Toledo before on investment properties or bank-owned properties. And it just, we always work it out, but there's things that they don't know, like property taxes and just certain situations where it gets kind of.
Because I'm not being like mean or, about it, but they're not from the area. Right. And if they're not doing deals in that specific area, then you would think that some things should just be known because like this is what you do every day. But that's just not always the case. Like because of how, even from like financing side, the way that property taxes are paid here in Stark County are not the same way that they're paid in Franklin County and Columbus. And so like if you don't know those things, then you're not doing it correctly.
Right.
And
like the prorations will be off. The final numbers the settlement statement might be not as accurate as it should be. But
working with a local title company, same way with working with a local agent, local lender, it's to your benefit as the buyer. Down the road, if you want to refinance, go and use someone else, by all means do that. But in the purchasing part of it, it's just a huge benefit to you to work locally and take the recommendations from those who have been doing this and working with these other places. Yeah. Lastly would be closing.
Yeah. The best day.
It is. It's like, it's the final stamp to just like, seal this off and say like, hey, like you did it. Yeah. And you always will have turbulence, I feel like, throughout your transaction. And whether it's it might, like, your loan could have been smooth and easy peasy, but maybe it's just like, oh, we agreed to this possession and now we don't want to because now it's our house. But at the end of the day, like, you actually, from start to finish, you made it. And when that ink is dry, recorded and transferred, like, you're getting keys and, like, the house is yours. And if you are working with us, like, we're here to be with you for life, but closing day is the best day in a transaction.
Yep. You get to meet with the closer, sign a bunch of papers, and it is all worth it.
Yes. It just, like, some people can do a hybrid closing where part of it is e-sign.
Yeah, those are very common right now.
Yeah. Which it's nice, but it's also like I always ask my clients, which do they prefer? Because if not, they are sitting at that table signing their life away.
Right.
And however your name is on your application and how you fill out your stuff is how you're signing it. But it's your name. And, you should proudly write your name on the dotted line there to kind of just seal the deal for you.
Be proud of yourself. This is the moment to be proud and happy. And we're proud and happy too.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, that's good. Do you have anything else to add with all that?
That was good.
I don't either. All right. Thank you for listening and watching and joining. And we will see you guys next time.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Toodles.
All right, friends, as we close things out today, remember, homeownership is more than just a roof over your head. It's a symbol of your strength, resilience, and determination.
Take action, embrace growth, and never be discouraged about where you are in your journey.
And remember to follow us on Instagram at Reality of Real Estate Podcast.
Our emails are linked in the description below. You can reach us at
Christopher.Lynch@ccm.com.
And my email is blehmanrealtor@gmail.com.
All right. Toodles!